Well, it's time for Your Money with Evans Financial, and joining us today in studio is Jennifer Delcomen. And Jennifer, we do thank you for hanging out with us here this afternoon. Always love talking to you guys. And today we're talking about the top 3 financial concerns and solutions when a spouse loses a job. And unfortunately, the time that we live in right now, it is a possibility for a lot of folks.
Absolutely. It absolutely is. And it's a big concern, of course. When a spouse loses that income, that is a huge stress, of course, as anybody can imagine. And there are a lot of things to take into consideration whenever or if that time comes, and a lot of things to take into consideration. One of the biggest things to try to make sure that you try to plan as much as possible.
Right.
And one of the things you want to make sure that you do is have an emergency savings.
Yeah.
We try to stress this with our clients, and making sure you have that emergency savings. Try to save, 6 to 9 months of expenses if you can.
And I know, obviously, insurance, I know this from personal experience. My wife was laid off during COVID before she was my wife, and we ended up getting married in our living room, really mainly because of health insurance during a pandemic. I know that's obviously a huge problem, because if you get that insurance from your job, it's no longer there. What do you do? So,
well, you can have, obviously there's COBRA, and that would take you for possibly for 18 to 36 months. That's a possibility. Or, like you said, you can, you have your spouses, you can go on their insurance, their coverage. That's also a possibility as well.
Yeah, it worked out for us, thankfully. It's been doing good. But what about the debt management? Obviously, you don't want to have that debt, but so many of us do. And how do you kind of go about handling that if you do have a spouse that is without work?
Well, so that's also a big thing. You want to make sure that you're prioritizing your expenses first and foremost, making sure that you're paying for the expenses, your mortgage, making sure you're paying for, your auto, all of the main necessary expenses that you have. Not, you want to be taking those elaborate trips or paying for the luxury, all those, the big ticket expenses that you have. If you have those subscriptions and things, you want to cut all those expenses out. Maybe you look at doing a debt consolidation or refinancing or something like that.
Yeah, the subscriptions, that's a big one.
It is. One day I was kind of taking a look at everything that I have, and I'm like, my goodness gracious, we need to kind of knock some of this stuff out.
I'm notorious for signing up for the 7-day free trial and never canceling.
Absolutely. And then you take a look at Netflix, and you've got all the other things that come into play. Something else to take into consideration too is if you are no longer with an employer, is if you have like a retirement account or 401k, you don't have to leave it there. Something to look at too. You don't want to always maybe cash it in, but maybe talk to someone about leaving it there, maybe rolling it over or something like that too. Talking to someone about what are your options, and if you need someone to talk to, you can give us a call.
There you
Absolutely.
Go. You're good at this. You answered my next question, Jennifer. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Let's go to Patrick.